Hey! Stop right there! You don't belong here! The shout tore across the airport terminal like a whip cracking through the air. Words aimed at a black CEO, a woman dressed in a sharp pink suit and black blazer, a woman who had built her empire brick by brick. In that single moment, prejudice tried to strip away her dignity. But what happened next? It turned silence into fire, presence into protest, and brought an entire airline to its knees. And before we dive deep into this story, what country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments, and if you're yet to subscribe, smash that subscribe button right now. Turn on all notifications, because what you're about to hear will shake you, inspire you, and keep you coming back for more. She was Cassandra Moore. A name whispered in corporate corridors, a name attached to billion-dollar deals, a name that carried both awe and unease depending on who spoke it. But more than a name, she was presence. That morning, as she stepped into the airport, the crowd barely noticed at first. To them, she was another traveler in a sea of weary faces, another passenger clutching her passport, another body moving through the maze of security lines and gate numbers. Yet anyone who truly looked could see the difference. Her suit was no ordinary garment. It was precision, a tailored pink ensemble that struck like a flare in the dull wash of airport grays, cut to perfection, carrying elegance without apology. Draped across her frame was a sleek black blazer, not just clothing but armor, a symbol that said she had walked through fire and learned how to protect her spirit. Her hair was drawn into a flawless bun, exposing her sharp cheekbones, her glowing complexion, her eyes that carried the weight of too many battles won in silence. Cassandra moved as one accustomed to commanding space. Every step was deliberate, every glance purposeful, as though she carried an invisible crown. And in truth, she did. She was a CEO, a global powerhouse, a woman whose leadership reached across industries. She had earned the right to stand in that business class line, not just with money, but with dignity. The airport buzzed with ordinary chaos, announcements blaring, children whining, families hurrying, phones buzzing. Yet when Cassandra approached the business class queue, a new sound cut through the ordinary. A voice, sharp and dismissive, an arm extended, a finger pointing away. An instruction tossed casually like scraps to the floor, move to the economy line. It wasn't shouted, but it carried the sting of something deeper than inconvenience. It was assumption. It was dismissal. It was bias woven into a single gesture, and in that moment the air shifted. People behind her glanced up. A man lowered his newspaper. A woman nudged her husband. Eyes began to gather. The economy line churned with restless passengers, but the business line froze. Cassandra had been marked, not as a first-class passenger, not as a CEO, but as someone out of place, someone who did not belong. Time slowed. For Cassandra, the moment was not new. She had seen this look before, the one that scanned her skin before her title, that measured her gender before her credentials. She had seen it in boardrooms where her ideas were repeated by men and applauded only when spoken in deeper voices. She had seen it at investor dinners where she was mistaken for an assistant, at summits where she was overlooked until her name appeared on the program. This moment at the airport was not unique. It was a continuation. But this time, she did not waste her breath. She did not explain. She did not argue. She did not move. Her hand tightened on her ticket. The words, "First Class," bold across it. She stood still, chin lifted slightly, shoulders squared beneath the black blazer. Her silence was a weapon. Her stillness was defiance. She had chosen presence over protest, posture over words. The attendant faltered. The confidence of assumption cracked. A few passengers shifted uncomfortably. Others smirked with quiet prejudice. But the silence grew heavy, and then phones rose, screens lit up, fingers tapped record. A ripple spread. Strangers whispered. Why was she being redirected? Didn't she belong in this line? Her pink suit glowed under the harsh airport lights, a beacon that drew every gaze. Her black blazer framed her like steel. Without speaking, she had turned humiliation into spectacle, dismissal into exposure. The attendant tried again, voice quivering now, but Cassandra did not move. And that was the beginning of chaos. Murmurs grew into shouts. Some passengers called out openly, questioning what was happening. Others scoffed in disbelief. Within minutes, the boarding area had transformed into a stage of judgment. Cassandra's silence was the center, and the airline's staff were collapsing around it. Social media caught fire before she even reached her gate. Hashtags erupted. Economy, for her. She paid her seat. Black CEO. The image of a woman in a pink suit and black blazer standing immovable in a business class line became viral in real time. Her silence became a roar across continents. The airline scrambled. A manager rushed forward, tie flapping, sweat gathering at his temple. He stammered apologies, attempted explanations, but Cassandra remained still. No anger in her face, no panic in her eyes. Just silence. Silence that reflected the ugliness for all to see. The attendant, who had dismissed her, crumbled under the pressure. Passengers began confronting staff. Phones caught every expression, every stumble, every attempt to justify. And the more the airline squirmed, the more the world watched. By the time Cassandra boarded, escorted now by a manager too shaken to make eye contact, the story was already global. The airline's name trended across feeds, their reputation spiraling. Commentators dissected the moment, activists amplified it, customers vowed boycotts. Reporters snapped photos as Cassandra took her seat in first class, her blazer folded neatly across her lap. She looked serene, untouched, as though the chaos behind her did not matter. Yet the storm she left raged uncontrollably. Executives at headquarters scrambled to draft statements. Lawyers whispered about liability. Public relations teams worked overtime to contain the inferno. But silence had already won. Cassandra had not spoken a word, yet her image spoke for millions. When her plane landed hours later, the airline had issued an official apology. They promised internal reviews, cultural training, suspensions, but it was too late. Customers had already judged. Stockholders trembled. Share prices dipped. The world had seen, and once seen, it could not be unseen. Cassandra, true to form, never granted interviews. She did not milk the moment. She did not add words to the noise. Her silence remained intact. Her power was not in what she said, but in what she refused to surrender, her dignity, her rightful place, her unshakable stance. She became a symbol. To some, she was the embodiment of quiet resistance. To others, a reminder that bias, even in its smallest forms, could erupt into collapse when exposed to the light. Her pink suit and black blazer became more than fashion. They became emblems of strength. And the airline? They never recovered the same way. Every apology carried the echo of Cassandra's silence. Every ad campaign faced the shadow of her stance. For years, whenever passengers saw that logo, they remembered the image. A black CEO standing tall in a business class line, refusing to move. Power does not always shout. Sometimes it stands still. Sometimes it says nothing. Sometimes it wears pink and black, and it brings empires to their knees. And that, my friends, is the story of how one silent gesture shook an entire airline to its core. If this story lit a fire in you, if it made you pause and reflect, then don't let it end here. Smash that subscribe button right now, turn on all notifications, and join this community of voices that refuse to be silenced. Because the next story we tell, it might just be the one that changes how you see the world.